The millionaire's daughter had just 3 days to live, until a street kid did the impossible. They said she wouldn't make it past the weekend. The machines had been keeping her alive for days, her breaths shallow, her heart faltering with each passing hour. Outside the sterile walls of the hospital, her father, once the most powerful man in the city, stood broken, his empire meaningless before the cruel ticking of time. 3 days. That's all the doctors had given her. And as snow began to fall softly over the city skyline, destiny quietly prepared to cross the path of two souls who could not have been more different: a dying girl born into unimaginable wealth, and a boy who had nothing but the cold streets in his unbreakable heart. If you believe that kindness and second chances can change lives, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Royal Stories. It helps keep stories like this alive and reminds the world that compassion still matters. The story began in a world of marble floors and endless glass windows, a mansion perched high above the city, where silence had become the language of grief. 18-year-old Emily Davenport had once been the center of her father's world. The daughter of millionaire real estate mogul Charles Davenport, she had grown up surrounded by everything money could buy: grand birthday parties, private tutors, vacations in the Alps, and dresses from Paris. But all of that had changed one rainy evening 6 months ago when her car had skidded on the highway and crashed into a barrier. Since then, she had been in and out of the hospital, her heart slowly giving up, a rare condition making every heartbeat a battle. Charles, the man known for conquering markets and crushing rivals, found himself powerless. He had hired the best doctors in the world, flown in specialists, and donated millions to research. Yet, nothing worked. The final report came with merciless clarity: her heart was failing, and a transplant was impossible within the next 3 days. She was too weak. No donor was available, and so, he sat every night beside her bed, holding her hand, whispering promises he knew he couldn't keep. Meanwhile, just a few miles away from the hospital's shining towers, the streets told a very different story. 12-year-old Liam slept on cardboard under a bridge, clutching his worn-out backpack that held all he owned: a torn photo of his mother, a pair of shoes with holes, and a small music box that no longer played. He was a ghost in the crowd, invisible to those who passed by, except for the rare kind soul who'd drop a coin into his cup. Yet despite his hunger and loneliness, Liam's eyes held something unbroken, a spark of hope that refused to die. He spent his days cleaning car windshields and his nights gazing through the glowing windows of cafes, wondering what it must feel like to be warm and safe. But on the third night of winter, fate shifted. Liam was walking past the hospital dumpster when he noticed a man sitting on the ground, his face buried in his hands. The man's expensive coat and trembling shoulders didn't fit the picture of despair. Something about that moment tugged at Liam's heart. He approached hesitantly and asked if he was okay. The man didn't answer, but when he lifted his face, Liam saw the emptiness in his eyes. It was Charles Davenport. In that instant, two worlds collided: the millionaire and the street boy, the desperate father and the forgotten child. Liam offered him a cup of water from a cracked bottle, the only thing he had. Charles didn't drink it, but he saw something in the boy's face: innocence, honesty, maybe even the reflection of the daughter he was losing. He gave Liam some food, perhaps out of gratitude, perhaps to ease the ache in his chest. But that small act became the beginning of something that would soon defy logic. Over the next 2 days, Liam began visiting the hospital gates, sometimes catching a glimpse of Charles, sometimes just sitting nearby, waiting for news. He overheard nurses whispering about a girl in critical condition. He didn't know who she was until one night he sneaked through the emergency entrance and saw her himself. The girl lay motionless under soft lights, tubes running from her fragile body. She looked peaceful, like a fallen angel. He felt something stir inside him, a strange pull he couldn't explain. He didn't know her name, but he knew he couldn't just walk away. That night, Liam made a decision that would change everything. He ran through the city streets in the cold, searching for a solution, any way to help. He didn't understand medicine or wealth, but he believed in miracles. He prayed at the steps of an old church until morning, asking for a sign. And somehow, the universe answered. The next day, a doctor came out of the hospital looking tense, speaking on the phone about how the city's power outage might delay the delivery of a heart meant for another patient in a nearby hospital. The words, "transplant team," and "oxygen truck," caught Liam's attention. The heart was trapped across town because the delivery route had been blocked by debris after a storm. The traffic was impossible. Liam's heart began to pound. Without thinking, he ran toward the blocked road, slipping through alleys, climbing fences, and navigating paths the doctors didn't even know existed. He reached the stranded medical van just in time, pounding on the window, shouting directions. The driver hesitated at first, but Liam's urgency was contagious. The boy guided them through narrow streets, cutting hours into minutes, leading them safely through the chaos until the hospital lights finally appeared in the distance. The transplant team arrived just in time. That same evening, as Charles stood by his daughter's side, the doctors burst into the room with tears in their eyes. "We found a donor heart," they said. It arrived just in time. No one knew how, or who had made it possible. All they knew was that Emily had one chance. The surgery lasted 7 hours. The world outside the operating room seemed to hold its breath. And when the lights finally dimmed and the doctor stepped out, his voice cracked as he said, "She's going to make it." Charles broke down for the first time in years. He didn't care about stocks, awards, or headlines. He only cared that his little girl had another heartbeat. Later that night, as he walked out of the hospital in disbelief, he saw the same boy, Liam, curled up by the steps, shivering under his thin jacket. He realized it was him. Somehow, deep down, he knew. He knelt beside the boy and wrapped his coat around him. When Emily woke up days later, the first thing she saw was her father holding her hand and a boy standing by the door, smiling shyly. She didn't know yet that this boy had saved her life, that his courage had brought the heart that now beat inside her chest. But when their eyes met, something wordless passed between them, a quiet connection beyond blood, beyond class, beyond everything that separates human hearts. Charles later adopted Liam, giving him a home, education, and a new life. But what Liam gave them in return was something that no money could buy, a reminder that hope can come from the most unexpected places, that miracles are often carried out by the hands of those who have nothing to lose but everything to give. And years later, when Emily stood beside Liam on stage at a charity event to raise funds for homeless children, she told the audience through tears, "This boy gave me life. And I'll spend mine giving others hope." The crowd rose in silence, not out of pity, but awe. Because sometimes, the smallest acts of courage ripple through the world like light through darkness. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to Royal Stories. Your support helps keep these true-to-life tales of kindness and miracles alive. Speech balloon special request. Comment below, do you believe that a single act of kindness can truly change someone's destiny?